a dope intro?
Isn't it a dope intro?
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, to the DadBodd podcast, the home of the Gator Bowl champion Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and also the future home of Sam Hartman, my new quarterback. Welcome, everybody. It is Guns Picks, as you all always know, and I am joined with some really great people with me. To my right, if you're watching on YouTube, I got lockbets.net, my partner in crime from the DadBods, and also with me, very special guest, hopefully a regular for this show moving forward into 2023. Dabby Cab, you see him on Pub Sports on the live streams, you see him on the sesh. Welcome, boys. I'll start with the lock bets. How's it going? Your 2023.
I tell you what, Guns. I'm fucking tickled pink to be back on this show, all right? We took a little hiatus. We regrouped, all right? Content took a back seat. Family took a front seat. Eating like a pig, drinking like a fucking whore took the front seat. But we're back. We're back. New Year's resolutions are in place. You know, people, I've never seen as many people in the gym this week. So, you know, I have new friends. I'm really sorry about my Gamecocks fizzing out against the Golden Domers. Other than that, how the hell are you, Guns? You look fantastic. I mean, what's your new skin routine? I want to know about that. And then of course, Dabby Cabby, you look great. I mean, everyone looks phenomenal. Beautiful night to talk sports, and more importantly, give the public what they want, some fucking sharp wagers.
There you go.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm going to pass it over to Dabby Cab while I look like a assistant coordinator that is just giving signals like this to the players or positional coach or something like that. But I want to pass it to Dabby Cab. Thanks for joining us, and we're going to have you on a lot more, as we've already talked about. What's going on, my friend? How you doing?
Man, I love it. This time of year, it's college basketball. Look, I get it. A lot of people like baseball because you have it to bet every day. Well, college basketball is basically the same thing. It's just better than baseball to bet. I love baseball. I know you love baseball, Guns. I love it. But come on, college basketball every day, it doesn't get better than this. I mean, I guess March is a little bit better. But right this time of year right now, we got college football, we got NFL, and we got college basketball. I mean, it's just, what do you want? As a capper, that's what I want.
And the beauty of college basketball now is you're getting into the precipice of the season which is conference play. You're seeing a lot of games coming on right now, and it's every single damn day. And college football is now closing out. NFL season going into the playoffs. A lot of things are happening where it's just going to be focused on the college basketball slate. But we want to talk about I want to start with the show, and granted, anybody that's watching right now live on Twitter or YouTube, we're going to get to the picks in a second. Don't worry about it. But I want to recap everything that's going on with college football, the bowl season, and also the 2023 outlook. So we're talking New Year's resolutions a little bit here. I thought this was a good start to the show. Is there any goals that you have personally, whether it be by content or gambling? I'll start with lock bets. What are your goals for the 2023 season of sports gaming?
Yes. Thank you, Guns. I think a goal to hone in on is to be well prepared for March Madness well before March Madness comes to fruition. So I have historically gotten hot towards, end of February into March Madness, but let's start it right now, okay? Let's get all the bullshit out of the way. The holidays are over, all right? True teams are going to show their true colors. I mean, I was watching the Villanova game yesterday. Georgetown completely blanketing them on defense first half. Second half was a tale of two cities. This team absolutely demolished them in the second half. You're going to start seeing these stronger juggernaut teams. So I got my notepad out. My New Year's resolution is to be well prepared come March. And then also maybe a little less drinking for the next 2 days so I can tell my girlfriend, I went a week during sober January. So that's my resolution.
Is it sober January or dry January? I guess it's all the same. Dabby Cap, what are your thoughts on the 2023? What are your goals as far as sports gambling content is concerned? What are your goals?
I'd like to do more in-person content. I don't know if it's like a turn of the page. I don't do like New Year's resolutions. Like if you're going to do something, you're going to do it. And if you're not, you're not. If you want to do something, don't be a lazy piece of shit. Do what you want to do. What I want to do is I want to do some more in-person content this year. So, whether that's getting together out at the studio in San Antonio where Slaughter has it with Pub Sports, or maybe us meeting at a basketball game and doing something. I don't care what it is. I just want to do some in-person content with some of the great people that I get to cap with.
I like that. I love
that. I love that. Guns, and you know what? I want to piggyback. I like his answer better than mine, so I'm going to piggyback that, all right? Maybe some, a few games, a few live games, content, live streams. I'm in.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. A fun note, the DadBods have only met each other virtually, and we are well overdue for a meet and greet and kill our livers for a weekend type of deal. My goal is actually with this channel. I think the DadBods channel is actually growing. We got 400 subscribers in 1 year, which is absolutely miraculous in my opinion. And I want to get this thing doubled up by the end of the year next year. That's all that I have in mind. And content that we're going to be putting out here is going to be year round. And I want to do that as well. I want to do college basketball. I want to do MLB. I want to involve everybody that we're friends with and get them involved into the channel, and in hopes that eventually this thing is able to monetize itself. That is probably the goal that I have in mind. But small baby steps. We are growing step by step. That's what I have in mind. So that's 2023 for you folks. That's our goals. And we just had a tremendous bowl season. We haven't done a show since we've done bowls. I know we've done a couple pick shows in the meantime. But what a bowl season. This is one of the bowl seasons that I may say this every single year, but this was a tremendously competitive bowl season, from college football playoffs to even the most remedial bowl games on the slate. I'm gonna actually pass it to Dabby Cab first. When we talking about the bowls that are most memorable from this year, what bowls come to your mind?
Okay, so when we say memorable, you have to specify. Are you talking about as a fan of college football or as a gambler? Like what?
I would say gambler.
Okay,
I'm gonna throw my shades on for this one.
Okay, because that's like people were asking me last year. My favorite game last year was on Christmas. I had Georgia State and they covered, and I probably overbet it a little bit because it was Christmas and I wanted to have fun. And Georgia State covered. Don't follow that advice that I just gave. It's terrible. It was not advice. Do not overbet anything ever. But not overbet what I could afford. Just meant more than a unit. This year I had Alabama pretty big. I had them first half full game. So I loved that one. As a fan, that Ohio State Georgia game. Now I lost my bet on that one. I had Georgia first half, which they were covering. It was 2.5, and they were covering it with 50 seconds to go until CJ Stroud took them down the field for another touchdown to end the half. Just outstanding play by CJ Stroud, and even more outstanding that Georgia was able to still win that football game.
Great. Lock bets. I'll pass it to you. What bowl sticks out in your mind?
Well, Dabby, I was on the exact same read as you. First half game with Alabama. That was a lovely victory. But if I have to pick one, I'm not going to copy Dabby. I had East Carolina circled for 2 weeks straight, and I was counting the days till that one. And we're talking about satisfying wins. I think East Carolina, complete victory. First half, they were dominant, and they took care of Coastal Carolina. So that was a good one to watch. And then if I'm going to talk as a fan, I think Kansas, Arkansas was just a great one to watch. I was live betting Kansas, which was surprising because I thought it was dead in the water. Watching it as a fan later, that was a good one. So, I mean, the bowl season, there's been a ton of great games. But let's hear the man, the myth, the legend, Guns. I mean, you've been capping each game, each day with a beautiful record, may I add. So
you guys know the twins, the Earl twins?
The Earl twins.
Oh, shit. I hope I'm not saying it right. The
Oh,
Earl
no.
Sports Bet twins. They're great guys. They're like twin brothers. They're twins, identical twins.
No,
we have to have them on the show, obviously.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
I guess we
introduce you
gotta
guys. I haven't had a lot of interaction with them, but they're with our guy. I know you know Dave, right? Picks from Dave Guns.
Mm-hmm.
I joined Picks for Dave one time too. That's a good guy.
Okay, great. Dave's a great guy. They're with Dave all the time.
Oh yes. Okay, now I know. Yes, I know him. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I met him. I have met him.
So they were at the game, your Coastal Carolina East Carolina game. You can always tell because it was funny. ESPN caught him on camera, and you can always tell when somebody's got money on the game because he was standing up. And I don't want to say which one it was because I'm not sure. And they're twin brothers. They can specify that for you because I'm really not sure. But whichever one it was on camera. He was like, you could just tell, you could tell that he was cheering his money on. I was like, good for you, man. Good for you.
That's awesome. You can 100% tell who is invested. Let's just say that, especially at a bar now.
I always look for the surrender cobras.
You know?
The surrender cobras are the ones that the complete giveaway. I never know if they're betting on the game or if they're a fan, but I always look at if they're looking at neutral clothing, they're probably betting on the game. I the Kansas one. I didn't have emotion on it because I was doing one of the shows and somebody put it in the chat and told me that Kansas tied the game. I was like, oh, whoa, really? They tied the game? I thought someone was messing with me. So that emotion didn't really hit me. The one that hit me the most was Tulane and USC. That game I thought was dead. And when a bet is dead for me, I will go to my garage. I will go lift. I'll exercise. I'll do whatever. And then, sure enough, I'm looking at my phone. I got to check. And then I noticed there was a muffed kick. And they said they were at the 1. I was like, oh, they're at the 1. Turns out it was a safety. They got, in my mind, I was like, imagine if they get a safety on this one. And sure enough, they get a safety. They get the ball back. I go, okay, I got to watch the last drive. So on my phone in my garage, I'm watching the last drive. And the tight end at the goal line, I think they converted 2 4th downs, and the tight end said he caught it, and I saw the replay, and I didn't hear my daughter walk into the garage, but I screamed, "That's an effing touchdown! That's an effing touchdown!" And I look behind me, and my 10-year-old is just standing behind me, and she goes, "Daddy, I heard you say the F word." And I went, oh no, I'm in trouble. I just looked at her. I go, Annabelle, it was a touchdown. It was a touchdown. They better call it that. So I just switched it up. That was the game I remember. The Mississippi State cover was another one that was just absolutely insane. I didn't see it firsthand. I just had to see the score update, and I went, how are they up 19-10? I don't see what happened, but I ended up finding it on Twitter. And then of course Notre Dame and South Carolina game was absolutely awesome game. Even if I was on the losing side, I would say that was just a great game overall. I mean, it was back and forth. Notre Dame never let down. They had the pick 6 to drive it down the field where it tied the game. Tyler Buckner kept his poise. They did a trick play at the 20, threw the touchdown to a wide open tight end. It was absolutely beautiful. And those were the games that were memorable. But I want to bring it back to the we'll get to the college football playoffs in a second. Things we learned this bowl season as far as bettors. Is there any advice that you would give to anybody that has never bet a bowl or just started betting bowls this year? What did you learn from this bowl season that you could carry on to future bowl seasons? And I'll start with lock bets.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think our clientele is better than this advice, but you have to throw out the regular season out the window. You have to out of sight, out of mind. A lot of the times, these two teams are completely flip-flopped and different starters. So at the very least, if you're going to do something, you better be hounding that injury report, hound the portal report. I mean, these guys are going right to the transfer portal in a lot of cases, or going to the NFL. So keep on the trackers and then just listen to your experts. I listen to Guns pretty much the whole NCAA football season just for advice, see where he was leaning.
You've called me during conference championships.
Yes.
I messaged you, and I don't ever ask anyone.
Yeah. I just want to see where his
head's
head's at.
This. You think it's good?
See where his head's at. So, but yeah, I mean, like if you if I was a dumb ass amateur bettor and I saw something like Tulane USC, it's very easy for me to be like, auto bet USC, Matt Leinert's probably still the quarterback there, right? Reggie Bush is still right there. Hollywood will tell
Caleb
you
Williams
USC.
is there, but he's way better.
But I don't know. Listen to your experts and don't let the beginning of bowl season determine the entire bowl season. You got the whole fucking season. So let's hear. I mean, Dabby, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this?
The original. Oh, what did we learn? Man, you said it, but everybody knows this. You gotta judge the pulse of the team, figure it out. And one thing I will say, what Georgia might not have covered the last game, and we'll get into what we think about this one, even with the big spread. But for all those numbers that everybody likes to give out about what the SEC does in bowl games, when it's Alabama and Georgia, forget those fucking numbers. There's my advice. There's some teams that can handle transfers or can't handle transfers for them. Actually, most teams can't. And then there's other teams like Alabama that, these kids are transferring because, they thought they were going to be starting and their ass is sitting on the bench and they realize, hey, I could start somewhere else, but they're not starting in Alabama. So they hit the transfer portal. And that's why you see so many people in there. Pay attention to the starters, the most important people, the leaders of the team, like with Bryce Young playing. That told me a ton when I found out that Young and Anderson were playing. So things like that.
It's also waking up when you take a line early on like a Kansas State and then wake up on the morning of the game and you see it go up to go up to 8 and realize that the bet that you just made is not going to cash, knowing that Nick Saban just wanted to prove a point, which is weird that he did that.
Oh, you were on the other side of that one? See, I didn't even know that.
I was. I was on the other side.
That
was fine. Like, I went 37-20 on bowls. 65%.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so I'm fine. It was a big bet, but it was probably the only big bet that I lost this year. And I think we're up, 23 units on bowl season, something like that.
I'm so bad at math. I don't even want to. What is that? That's close to 60%, right?
It's 65%.
That's what I thought. Okay, I figured. I was like, it's over 60, right? So bad at math. So bad at math.
Yeah, and that's just like not the show stuff. This is like when you're in our Slack channel, I do splits, I do first half, second halves, and just stuff I see live. But what I learned was I'm going to start tracking bowls, first half unders, and second half splits. I think first half unders is really a thing that we need to track. You got these guys that haven't played for a month, and they've just prepared for this bowl. So when you prepare for a bowl, the defense is more prepared than the offenses. And we saw a lot of, especially early on with the bowl season, we saw a lot of first half unders just cash. And then if they don't cash in the first half, they usually cash in the second half. So that was something that kind of trended. However, college football playoff games, I think you should just avoid totals altogether. And if you're going to take a side, always take an over. A new thing that happened that I noticed, and this is new because of NILs and the transfer portal and how easy it is to transfer. But QBs entering the transfer portal or opting out to go to the draft, and they decide to play in their bowls that are non-college football playoff, we need to back those quarterbacks. And I'm talking about Sam Hartman. He won and covered. Austin Reed won and covered. Jake Hayner going to the draft, won and covered. And Bryce Young decided to go play in his game. He didn't have to play in the game. He won and covered. So that's going to be something that we have to start recognizing as we get into bowl season next year, is these quarterbacks that decide to go play in their bowl game. That is high motivation to get their stocks up to whatever they're doing, whether it be up in the draft or up into get themselves some value if they haven't chosen a team in the transfer portal. And I wish a lot of players would stay in to build themselves up. I'm not talking about the guys that are already in the top 10 in the draft. I'm talking about the guys that are probably in the second or third round, and they shouldn't listen to their agents, and they should play in those bowl games to get the draft stock up. I bring up Daniel Jones. I bring up Zach Wilson. If they didn't play in their bowl games, I don't think those guys would have been drafted at number 2 in the first round. So it is important to consider as we go down the road, and I think a lot of players will have that recognition. So that's stuff that I've learned with the bowls. Also, I've noticed with the NILs, not a lot of guys opting out as much as we're used to seeing. There's a couple teams that are the outliers, but I noticed a lot of guys are playing in these bowl games. So that is a positive moving forward as well. One other note before we get into the college football playoff talk. The conference champions, if you've won a conference championship, chances are you are going to not do well in your bowl. The conference champions in the bowls went 3-7 against the spread, and the only teams that covered in those were G5 teams. It was Fresno State, it was Tulane, which was miraculous, and Troy. Those are the only 3 that covered.
There's 2 things. Think about this, Guns. 2 things. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I like what you just said. It's 2 things: winning a national championship and winning your conference. Right.
Correct.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that some people don't still want to.
I'm not saying fade Georgia on the conference college football playoff championship. Totally different. I'm talking about like you're playing in a remedial bowl game. You just won your conference. Exactly. What's your motivation? Highs of highs of a lot of these teams. Kansas State. I was on the wrong side of that, but I learned that they won a conference championship in dramatic fashion versus a team that was in the college football playoff, was undefeated at the time. I should have known better to fade them against the Alabama Crimson Tide. College football playoff recaps and thoughts, because we should talk about these games. I want to start with your thoughts on the TCU Michigan game. A lot of things happening there. Absolutely crazy game to start us off on the semifinals. I'm going to start with Dabby Cab this time. What did you
not
see?
Start with me, because what my first thought was not what it should be. I can't help it. It was McCarthy's fucking dad. I just can't like the fingers, and then the boot. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, he slapped his girlfriend's ass. Like, what the fuck was that? Like, that was so creepy. Is he going to address that? Are we going to get a resolution to that? Is he going to apologize for making the public watch him sexually abuse his son's fucking girlfriend?
He's probably seen it before, so he doesn't know what he's apologizing for.
Okay, that game, man. It was what TCU's done all fucking year. They've played outrageous games that go right down to the end, right? A lot of times this year they've been doing it from behind. This time they, were actually out in front. But damn, what TCU, this is what they've been doing, is running it down to the wire. And as exciting as it was kind of predictable for me. I knew that TCU no lead was going to be comfortable with that defense. So we'll see. This spread is telling at being 12. Well, I don't know if it's still 12. I know it was, but that spread's telling in this next game. I worry for TCU coming up, but we'll see. I don't have a bet on it yet.
Yep. Lock bets. What were your thoughts on the TCU Michigan game?
Well, I mean, fool me once, fool me twice. I kind of was towards fading TCU after their really miraculous end of season. But you know what? I have to hand it off. I have to literally hand it off to TCU. I mean, they demolished them on the ground. Michigan, you could tell, had 1 foot out, 1 foot in it almost when they should have never, ever had that. But Harbaugh, now you're looking at these rumors circulating. He's going to the NFL. Maybe he just isn't that guy. Maybe he isn't that guy to fire up his locker room on the biggest national stage around, which is sad. But TCU wanted it 100 times more, and they fucked him up. So tip my hat to them.
Yeah, I like what I noticed, and I heard some. There was some articles that came out of people on the inside about the Michigan preparation was very limited on the game plan perspective, and TCU, took advantage of that, really planned for that game. They had 4 weeks, really, essentially, to plan for that game. A couple of things that I saw in the game that may be beneficial towards the UGA side. You actually saw Max Duggan. He only had a 48% pass completion rate, but he had 7.8 yards per attempt. That was more predicated on a 76-yard touchdown that he gave to Johnston. It was a full blitz, and he just sidearmed it on an end route going across like 5 yards, and he just took off because he's going to be legit in the NFL. But he also had 2 interceptions, which is unpredicated for Max Duggan, who only had 4 interceptions coming into that game. Play calling in the red zone was absolutely awful on the Michigan side. 4th down, going for some like fluky trick play. That was kind of like just absolutely dumb. And the score ended at 51-45. Now, 2 of those touchdowns were defensive interception pick 6. I don't think that Stetson Bennett would absolutely give the ball to TCU and have them score in that way. You also have the fumble that ended up at the 1. There's a lot of stuff that happened in that game that was very fluky, but it was also part of the magic that was TCU's season this year. I mean, every single game you could probably pick apart like 1 or 2 plays that were just like, I can't believe this happened for TCU. So going into this game, take that with a grain of salt. It's like, don't think that just TCU is just that team. From a magical standpoint, the book set the line at this -12. I haven't made an official play on this, but I just thought there was a lot of outliers in there that made the game outcome not as what the actual game was. I even thought that TCU lost the net yardage battle in that game, and also Michigan did a weird thing. They gave up 6.4 yards per carry in that game on the rushing. They only gave up 3.3 yards per carry all season long. Granted, they played a weaker schedule, but I think that was kind of like a weird outlier for them as well. And also, you got to consider the injury with their star running back that may not be playing in this game. They have to go with the backup. Backup is good, but not as good as the starter. All right, those are my thoughts on TCU Michigan. Let's go to the next game, which was another great game that took us into 2023. The Ohio State Georgia game ended up 42-41. I can't imagine seeing. This is the first time we've seen two college football playoff games that were this close, this tight, this exciting. And I'll start with. I guess I'll start with lock bets this time. Ohio State UGA. Did you even see the game, or were you just at some Philadelphia gala black tie event with the missus?
I tell you what, I had the weekend of hell in terms of watching watching the one game I did want to watch in terms of Ohio State. I ended up only being able to watch the first half. I was in a black tie event. I was New Year's Eve. I mean,
by the way, you were a fucking knockout 10.
Oh, wow.
I saw, oh boy.
Wow.
Dude, you're a handsome MF, dude. Handsome MF.
This guy.
Go ahead.
This guy. But I was peppering Georgia in the first half when they went down. I lost that wager for the first half, but I knew there was more to it, right? I mean, I should have just been peppering the live line for the game. This is the Georgia that we expected. I mean, they got the job done. I'd like to say that I knew they were going to win the whole time since I didn't see the ending. So the result was not a surprise to me, but Ohio State, I mean, on paper, they probably should have won that game. So with that being said, I did have a fucking great weekend, and let's listen to the experts on this one.
Dabby I know you watched every single second of that game. What were your thoughts on the Ohio State and UGA game?
Well, my initial thoughts were that first half felt like a kick in the nuts, but I knew that CJ Stroud I knew they were going to at least get a field goal. Now, speaking of field goals, after what I saw at the end of the game, maybe if Georgia would have held them to a field goal attempt before half, maybe they wouldn't have made it, because that field goal at the end of the game, that ball was spinning like this, like this way, this direction to the side. And I feel for that kicker, because that's got to be awful. That's got to be one of the worst feelings ever, because that's just what a way. What a game, though, man. What a game. Georgia responded to everything. That's one of the things I really took away from it is their ability to – CJ Stroud played it the best game he could have played, the best game he could have possibly played, and he was one of the best people to play the game that he played. I mean, he played outstanding, and they still won the football game. I know Duggan is a very good quarterback, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do necessarily what Stroud did in this game. So we'll see. But good game. Really good game.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly. I thought Ohio State would come out with a chip on their shoulder after that loss to Michigan, the rival, back-to-back years. And they showed up. They showed up in what I consider a road game to Ohio State. In Georgia, actually playing there for the third time this year in Mercedes-Benz stadiums. And I had to look at that for a second. I was like, oh, they played Oregon there week 1. They played the SEC championship there, and they played the college football playoff semifinal there. I'm surprised they're not going to play the championship there because it just seems like Georgia has absolutely just made that their home stadium. Georgia did win the net yards in that one, plus 166 net yards, but they were behind most of the game. So take that with a grain of salt going into the TCU game. Ohio State gave up the same, and it was a fun fact in this one. Ohio State gave up the same amount of yards to Georgia that they gave up to Michigan in that game. I think there was maybe a 3-yard difference in that one. It depends on what site you're looking at. But the difference in that game was Michigan won 45-23, and this was a 1-point game, but it was a minus 2-point turnover ratio that decided the game for Michigan. And UGA and Stetson Bennett. And I'm looking at just quarter splits. Like, look, we're talking just straight betting here. For quarter splits, why wouldn't you just take Stetson Bennett in the fourth quarter? You saw him last year in Alabama. He played a miraculous fourth quarter where you thought Georgia was dead in the water. And then in this game, he showed up again. Georgia won the fourth quarter 18-3. They lost the third quarter 10-0. They were down 28-24 in the second quarter. At halftime. So this is one of those teams that they're never out of a game. They're very poised. They're very seasoned. And you would have thought they lost a lot, and this was a quote-unquote down year for Georgia. Doesn't feel like a down year anymore. And now they're playing a TCU team, and they're a double-digit favorite in this one. This is just a weird line with a TCU team that is basically like held on to their dear lives all season long and just won with absolute magic. But as I transition, Is there any thoughts, leans going into the college football championship on this one? I'll start with DadBodd on this one. TCU, UGA, line sitting at minus 12.5, minus 12, depending on what book you're looking at. And the total is sitting at 62.5.
This is not a very expert professional thing of me to say, but I'm not in the business of going against Georgia and Alabama. I just don't do it. In my opinion, there are games that'll stay off with those teams where it's like, I don't bet those teams very often, actually. I don't even think I bet Georgia but once this year in the last game in the first half. So I don't bet them often, but I'm just not in the business of going against them. There's other places where I'd rather put my money than going against Georgia or Alabama, because here's the thing. If you take TCU and Georgia wins this game by 14 points, you're going to go, well, yeah, it's Georgia. I know I saw that coming, right? And I don't want to be on the end of something like that. I would lean Georgia here. I don't think that TCU is going to be able to hang in the trenches where Ohio State was able to a little bit. And when you take out the trenches, I know Georgia's secondary has had some holes in it. But when you're not able to run the ball, which I don't know if TCU is going to be able to do very much in this game, it makes it a lot easier for the defenders, and it becomes a different game, and the numbers become completely different. So I'd only be on Georgia. Live betting, it's a beautiful thing, man. If you really want Georgia, I can tell you one thing. If TCU scores first, I will absolutely bet Georgia then. If TCU scores second, I'll probably bet Georgia then too. And I probably like that more than I like it before the game. So we'll see.
Excellent stuff. Lock bets, what are your thoughts on the college football championship?
I mean, I think you said it best. We're not in the business. I'm not in the business either to be fading Georgia. I have no business doing that. I know that Georgia is a juggernaut, and I do still think that last week they did just enough to get by, right? They didn't have to have this flashy, flamboyant win. They did enough to advance, and good teams do that. So when you see the line start like this, I mean, it's not even like the public determined that. It, like Gunn said, it's pretty much started like this, and that's fishy. And I won't touch TCU with a 10-foot pole. With that being said, I do feel comfortable under 62. I mean, I think if we're looking at a lopsided victory, which I think will happen, I mean, you're probably looking at a 28-35. 21, 35, 35-21 gets you there. That's 56, right? So if you think that Georgia is going to beat them by more than 10 points, I still think you take the under. I don't think TCU is going to be able to produce enough points to remotely get to that over. So I'm not going to touch really the minus 13.5 or so, but I'll probably put one unit on the under. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, but that's my take. Guns, tell us that we're all considerably wrong and that we should be wearing Horned Frogs gear and it's going to be a purple wave. Tell us, baby.
I'm actually agreeing with you both. I really am. I was leaning those ways. I haven't made anything official. I'll probably wait to see. It's probably going to make it. I'll probably make it official on Sunday, but I want to look. All I can do is bring some stats to you. So I want to look at both of these teams of how they played from the semifinal, and I also want to see how they played the whole season. So a couple of stats that I always look at. One key one that I found was red zone efficiency. Now, we never really saw TCU really have a red zone type of efficiency on this one because there was just a lot of big plays in this game. You had the pick sixes, you had the long touchdown from Johnston. And UGA side, there was a lot of big plays in that one as well. So UGA's offense, they have a 97.4% efficiency in the red zone, 52 touchdowns, 23 field goals. They're ranked first in college football. Now you have TCU's offense. They only have an 83.3% red zone efficiency, 50 out of 60 attempts, 41 touchdowns, 9 field goals, 69th in the country. Defense-wise, guess what? UGA is number one again. So on the offensive side, the defensive side, their red zone efficiency is on point. 66.7% efficiency, 22 out of 23, 12 touchdowns, 8 field goals given up, ranked first in college football. TCU's defense, 82.7% given up to their opponents, 43 out of 52, 32 touchdowns, 11 field goals, ranked 60th in college football. So essentially what I'm telling you is if it comes down to red zone efficiency, if it comes down to these teams in the red zone, Georgia is going to have full control of them from the 20 on. So all you have to do with Georgia is like, don't give up the big play. Don't give up the big play and don't give up a key turnover. Georgia, also their yards per play, they 7.1 yards per play, ranked second in the country. They were 6.9 last year. TCU, yards per play offense, 6.5 yards per play, ranked 13th, and they were 6.5 last year. So they were right on line from year to year. However, when you look at the defensive side, UGA yards per play only given up 4.9 yards per play, ranked 24th in the country. They were 4.1 last year, and they're ranked number 1. TCU's defense yards per play, 5.4 yards per play, ranked 56th in the country defensively, given up, and they given up 7.3 last year. So that's the difference of TCU this year is basically they improved their defense and they just basically continued on the plane on their offense. And then I started looking at how the teams they played and their yards per play and their efficiency. So UGA faced OSU. OSU is ranked number 1 in yards per play offense, and they're ranked number 29th in defense. Michigan is ranked 14th on the offensive side, 4th on defense. But you have to understand what happened in that game with TCU. TCU scored 2 touchdowns on defense. Okay, folks? A lot of their advantages were predicated on the fact, one, that they ran the ball very well, and they took advantage of that. They didn't pass the ball well at all. They're going to have to pass the ball against Georgia. And quite frankly, that's Georgia's maybe weak point in this game. But they only have maybe 1 or 2 receivers that are the exclusive weapons for TCU. And Georgia's pass rush is not very good. So they're going to have to play that pass where, as I told you the stats before, Max Dugan only had a 48% pass completion rate in the semifinal. So that may be a weak point for TCU as well. So that kind of plays towards Lockbet's under play at that high end of the 62.5. Because I think these two teams are going to try to pound and ground the ball. And I think Georgia's going to want to do that as well. Also on this one, Georgia's ranked first as far as offense, defensive yards above season average. And what I mean by that is, say Georgia averages 400 yards of offense and they get 500 in that game. That means they're plus 100. So on average, and defense, same way. If they average giving up 300 and they only give up 200 for the game, that means they're plus 100. So when you combine them together, it gives you a plus total. So on this one, UGA is ranked number 1 in the country as far as the offensive and defensive above season average is concerned. They're a plus 225, where TCU is ranked 31st in the country at plus 84.7. These are key stats, folks. So really, I'm trying to get you to the point where you understand what the line is. There's a reason why the line is double digits. It's because statistically speaking, Georgia's just way better than TCU. Strength of schedule wise, UGA is ranked 34th as far as strength of schedule. TCU is ranked 37th. So they're dealing with basically an even plane of the competition. And Georgia is just dominating, where TCU is, good, but not great. And also, if you want to look at first half splits in this one, I wanted to look at this one because I remember betting Georgia all year last year on first halves. That was my big bet. I was like, first half. So Georgia is 12-2 straight up, 14.4 point spread between their opponents in the first half, where TCU is also 10-3-1 in the first half with a 7.6 point per game. So statistically speaking, this is leaning me towards the Georgia end. I haven't made it official yet because I just want to wait and see, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of money driving that number for TCU. I think people are going to dump way too much money on this team, and they're going to bet the money line. This is going to be a very public dog here. And I think by the time I get to Sunday, when I actually do a video pick, I'm going to be leaning Georgia on this one. And so the two guys that are beside me right now basically are where my leans are going to be. I like the under, and I like especially when you see two overs egregiously hit in the semifinal. I think the public is just, oh yeah, this is going to be a big scoring game. No, I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be the line, the number, everything's telling me it's going to be a Georgia route, and that's where I'm leaning right now. So do with it as you will. Unofficially, I like Georgia, and I like the under.
Yeah, I mean, you heard the man, right? I mean, it makes complete sense, and it's exactly what Dabby and I were just saying, right? I mean, with less words on paper, but that's why we pay Guns the big bucks, because he will break it down like a chemist, like the artiste that he is. So that's why,
like the damn nerd that I am with numbers.
like the goddamn Halloween costume you're wearing right now.
I need the like the playboard with my face in front of it, like
maybe some eye black, maybe a poster board.
All right, before we go into transition to just a brief talk about some NFL talk, I want to call out our sponsor, Viva Tequila Seltzers.
This podcast is sponsored by Viva Tequila Seltzers.
All right, this podcast is sponsored by Viva Tequila Seltzers. Viva Tequila Seltzers is a refreshing and drinkable hard seltzer, 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and 4.5 ABV. Viva is the perfect drink for your post-game celebrations, as it was created with the active lifestyle in mind. Viva flavors their tequila seltzers because flavor is the spice of life, and they like their drinks with a little bit of a kick, just like they like to live their lives. Viva flavors perfectly with their artisanal Blanco tequila for a subtle and refreshing drink. Their belief is to live long, live well, and live it up. Hashtag Viva Up. And make sure you check them out on Twitter at Viva Seltzers. So let's bring the group back in, and we are about to talk some NFL.
Go!
Nice.
NFL talk, boys.
While you guys do this, I'm going to settle a screaming child really quick. So I'll be.
Yeah.
Good man. I wanted to go first anyways.
And it's going to go to you. So we're only talking the Saturday plays right now, folks.
Right.
If you want to go check out the rest of the plays for Sunday, you're going to have to check out the Circa Million show with myself, Oddfellow, and the Shark. So I want to start with the first game up on the slate here. Actually, a pretty competitive one. A playoff game at night. And there's implications on the first game on the slate. So 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, we have the Kansas City Chiefs playing the Las Vegas Raiders. What are your thoughts on this game, Lock Bets?
Gosh, golly. Vegas is after us, guys. Vegas is after everybody sitting there right now, sitting at home. Where does the trap lie in this storyline? The Chiefs are vying for the number 1 seed. All right. When there's a lot of extras that could occur, but when and you have a seat at the table, you have a chance, right? The Raiders, on the other hand, this is a dumpster fire that's been kind of happening for the last 4 weeks. I mean, 5 weeks. Derek Carr. He's done. All right. Josh Jacobs, he's about to win the rushing title. They've already sold him away as a missionary. Okay. So the bottom line is, I think 2 people are playing for their jobs, Josh McDaniels and Josh Jacobs. Sorry. Those 2 people alone, with Devontae Adams, the veteran, I think you're going to see a Raiders team playing for absolutely Nothing to lose. They played fantastic last week with Jared Stidham. Carr was never the answer. It was always Stidham. So Stidham is better in McDaniel's system. The offense is clicking. The first time these guys played 30-29, little revenge spot for the Raiders. And not to mention the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a whopping 12-19 against the spread when they are favored by more than 7 points. I don't like to read into that stat too much, but the Chiefs win, the Raiders cover. This is probably going to be a 2-unit play. Raiders plus 9.5.
Yeah, I haven't made an official play on this one, and I kind of lean the Raiders on this one as well. And I see 8 you guys watching the chat. I see some of you guys watching on Twitter. Please join the chat a little bit and give me what your locks are this weekend. And you can add some college football information as well. What bowls did you like this season, and maybe your college football playoff play as well? I'll put it up on the show. Now for this game. You have the Raiders lost 3 out of the last 4 games. They did beat my Patriots in one of those games, but they also lost to the San Francisco 49ers with Jared Stidham's first start, 37-34. Looked really good. Looked good enough to win. Couldn't put the biscuit in the basket at the end. Plus 46 net yard average for the game against arguably the Super Bowl favorite, San Francisco 49ers. In that regard. Now you have the Kansas City Chiefs are just cooking right now. They have a 4-game win streak on this one, off a home divisional win, narrowly beating a lackluster Denver Bronco team 27-24, but they had a plus 67 net yard average. This team just doesn't perform well at home with these big spreads. Now you have Kansas City performed better on the road than they do at home. They have a plus 8-point differential, plus 103 net yard average. But you have the Raiders when they're playing at home. They play their best ball. I'm telling you, plus 4-point differential, minus 8 net yard average. But so you really have these 2 divisional teams. You have the revenge spot that Lock Bets just mentioned about losing the game 30-29 in Kansas City in week 5. Also, you look at the trends on this one. I didn't realize that Kansas City really doesn't cover spreads. They're 1-8 against the spread in their last 9 games.
Yeah.
But, however, there is a spread on the contrary where KC is 13-6 in their last 19 versus the Raiders. And really, Kansas City is only playing for a first-round bye. I mean, they can still get the first-round bye if Buffalo loses, too, and they have to play the New England Patriots. So take that with a grain of salt. Probably my lean on this one, not official, is probably the Raiders. I just think that there's enough motivation to kind of finish the season off. It wasn't a great season for the team overall, but they play well at home, and I think they're motivated with a new quarterback in Jared Stidham. I think he performed very well versus the San Francisco 49ers, and they're playing a weaker defense in the Kansas City Chiefs. So, yeah, full agreement on this one with Lock Bets, even though Lock Bets is more official than me. I do have an official one, though, and I want to talk about this game.
Oh, baby. You know what? Let's hear it, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. If you want me to go first, I can go on this
I want you to go first. I want you to fucking go with this one.
All right. So let's talk Titans, Jaguars. This is a playoff game, folks. Both teams are going to be motivated. I think you saw it last week with the Titans resting starters they're preparing for a playoff game. And they put in Dobbs, and Josh Dobbs actually did a great job in the substitution role, but it looks like they're going to be at full strength on this one. Tennessee has lost 6 straight, though. They've lost the net yardage battle in all the games. They have a minus 9-point differential and minus 51 net yard average in the last 4 games. This is a team that is just an absolute decline, falling knife. And it's not a team that I want to back on this one. And as you can tell, I'm looking at the Jaguars. I said it a couple weeks ago. I think the Jaguars are pretty much poised to win the AFC South. Jaguars play well at home, too. They're playing at home on this one. It's their safe space. It's where they're the most comfortable. They have a plus 4-point differential, plus 68 net yard average at home this season. Tennessee on the road, -5. I mean, I can go Tennessee minuses all day long. -5 point differential, -95 net yard average on the road. Tennessee versus divisional opponents, +1 point differential, -9 net yard average. So they play to the level of their competition, granted, versus divisional opponents. But Jacksonville, +11 point differential, +71 net yard average versus divisional opponents. Tennessee lost the first matchup, 35-22, as 3-point favorites. Okay. If you're thinking about the revenge factor in this one, look at the line, folks. The Jags are favored -6, -6.5, depending on what book you got it in. That's a 9-point swing. That should tell you something there on the line correlation. They're telling you that the Jags are probably going to win this game and be the representative for the AFC South. So Tennessee typically dominated by the Jags, but typically has dominated the Jags historically. However, I think there is a big swing as far as the strength of the South is concerned, and I think the Jags have got it. Trevor Lawrence is actually playing well. The defense is cooking. Travis Etienne is probably a running back that they got, and surprisingly has been very productive in that offense as of late. And I just think that I'm going to back the hotter team. I don't care if it's public. I don't care if it's contrarian. I don't care what it is by the time kickoff is concerned. I think the Jaguars are the representative for the AFC South, and I think they're going to dominate the Tennessee Titans here. So give me the Jaguars. -6 is what the line I got it at as the play here, and it's a 2-unit play for me. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, and you know what? I think we're going to just stay with full alignment here. I was going to try to paint a picture of the Jaguars of yesteryear, and then I was going to say, fuck all that noise. The Jaguars are not the Jaguars of yesteryear. So I'm with you here. I also think the Titans, like you said, they didn't have anybody last week. Josh Dobbs comes in. Doesn't mean that this week everything gets miraculously saved. One stat that I looked at, the last 3 games, the Titans are only averaging 6 points per game in the first half. The last 3 games, the Jaguars are nearly averaging 12 to almost 13 points. I mean, they're cooking, they're cashing. So I'm going to do a first half bet -3.5. We're going to go with Guns picks on the full game, and we're going to be in full alignment. And I'm getting yelled at because I've been doing this podcast too long, Guns. So,
Okay.
That is where we stand. I mean, do you have anything else that we should focus on? I don't want to
just burn down. Yeah, I understand. So I think we're just going to do maybe just and Dabby Cab is back right now.
Okay. So how about I pass it? I pass it off. I leave. It was always me.
Okay.
I love you guys.
Go check him out on Twitter at LockBets. If you don't know who he is, go check him out. He is the all essential betting in multiple sports guru. So he can always give you an insight on everything.
And I miss seeing you, America. I miss seeing you.
All right. Dabby Cab is back. We're gonna do a brief talk. Let's talk some hoops. College football is ending, and we're getting into the precipice of college basketball. While the people are on there, it's 9:17 Eastern Standard Time. Is there any plays that you have for the late slate, or is there some thoughts that you have on college basketball Thursday, or maybe even Friday or the weekend?
So I saw you were on Indiana. I liked Indiana against Iowa tonight. It's too late. That tipped off at 8. Indiana's up early, 11-4 right now. I also have Cincinnati bet. I gave it out on betting with the bag. I got Cincinnati first half -0.5 point. That's early also. They're up 11-7 right now. One thing that I could say with college basketball, I mean, late slate, we got USC, UCLA, big spread, -11.5 for UCLA. It's a tough game for me to cap right there. It's a rivalry. I don't know. There's some other good games tonight, but I'm not on any of them. But what I'll say, Guns, is one of my favorite things to do, and you'll notice it, and I do bet first half a lot. I track everything I do, so it's like I follow my numbers and stuff. Is in college basketball.
Great. I just want to point out that you actually put out your recap a couple days ago, actually, and a lot of green on the Action Network. So go check out at Dabby Cab on Twitter if you're not following along. He does give out free content. So very good college basketball capper. But go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, and I don't deal with trolls, so everything I do is 100% transparent. I just put it out, good or bad, doesn't matter. But what I was going to say is in college basketball, there will be a lot of overreaction with the betting public and with people because of certain games. Teams are going to let down in college basketball. It's just going to happen. It's almost like a pitcher in baseball. Like, I was back in Darvish all year and I stuck with it even when he would have just an awful game. People are going to have awful games. And if anything, that's a chance to buy low on a team. I think there's a lot of buy low opportunities in college basketball. And that's what I was getting at.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So I was looking at the late slate. The game that I probably want to give out here while the people are watching right now, I actually like Cal State Fullerton. They play at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I actually like that line in there. They are plus 4.5, 5. I think I got the line at that. I actually like that one. They're a team that is kind of like heating up as far as the last 4 or 5 games. And the way I look at these teams is I kind of look at them as in 3 or 4 game samples. No different than I'd look at any other team as far as college football or college basketball. It's like or MLB for that matter. I look at it the same way. This is a team that's absolutely heating up. I don't have the stats in front of me. I wish I did. But I just want to give that pick out to the people. I think that is a good play on this one. I'm still trying to get my feet in the water as far as college basketball is concerned. I know a little bit more about the main teams than I do the mid majors for that matter. But I'm working my way into that, and I will give more statistical analytics in future content going forward. And Dabby and I were talking about doing that. And we'll give you that content all the way through the season and moving forward. Also, I do like UCLA too, minus 11.5. That is another line that I like as well. That game's going to kick off at 9:30. So if you're watching that right now, jump on that line as well. But those picks I like late. Another thing that I want to talk about is like what are like as far as the season is concerned right now, because you've looked at the college basketball stuff a little bit more than I have. What are the teams that you've really been tailing now that are probably going to continue to stay hot? And then what are those teams that are hot right now that are
I've got a couple opportunities. I've had a couple opportunities. Now we were talking about it backstage. Houston, the numbers are going to be outrageous, but Houston's been covering first half, and it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter what the spread is. They've been covering at a high clip.
They covered tonight.
I look, like I said, these buy low opportunities is Kansas. I know that sounds silly, but I got a good buy low opportunity with them on the road against Missouri. I had another opportunity with them last weekend, back-to-back weekends. Kansas is one of those teams. If I'm getting anything under anything relative with the decent spread, I'm gonna ride with them. And even if they burn me, I'm gonna go back with them because this team is hot. Kansas, Arizona, Houston, these are the best teams in my opinion. UCLA is up there. They've turned a corner. I think they're on a 10-game win streak right now. But yeah, those are my top teams right now. And I know everybody knows those are the top teams, but they're the top teams for a reason. They are that good.
Yeah. I think the transition from non-conference play to conference play is something that is a concern. So maybe the bets that you made versus non-conference play, just look at who they played in the non-conference. If they played ranked teams, they'll probably be strong. But if they started playing a lot of these mid-majors like Elon or I don't know, teams that are in the MAC. I'm not talking about the MAC. I'm talking about the MAAC. That's probably teams that you don't want to back in conference play. Sam Culver joining us here. Gross beat on Ohio State. These college kids are screwed. I guess Purdue finally got over the hump, and I don't think they covered in like 10 straight or something like that I saw. Purdue was kind of a falling knife, but for the first time, I think they were a dog on this one. So thank you for giving that information in my lost bet on Ohio State tonight. But it's all good. So I think that's going to do it for the DadBods, episode number 105. Dabby Cab, thank you. Is there anything that you want to plug before we close her out?
Let's just say it's been a good thing my mic's been muted a few times, and but man, Pub Sports Radio, and you come over there and hang out with us, man. Just anything that Pub Sports Radio is going on. I'm not going to plug my individual stuff because it's not about me. There's a bunch of great content, so just check out the YouTube Pub Sports Radio or the Twitter, whatever one, and you can find all the stuff going on there.
Beautiful. And for this channel, like I said, we're going to be doing some college basketball content as it goes down the.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be doing something on Friday. We'll plan out a time frame that kind of works for both of us. We'll do something there, and hopefully we make it a weekly thing, maybe a daily thing on the weekends. We'll see how it goes. But we want to do some content for college basketball for sure. And we'll do the NFL show, Circa Million show. Will be on Sunday at 10 a.m. Will be me, Oddsfellow, and the Shark. So go check that out as well. So till next time, we're probably going to be back Thursday at 8 p.m. Maybe with a Dabby, maybe with another cap, but we'll see how it goes. And thanks for joining us all. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel, make this baby grow, and share the content. The sharpest content on the planet is on the DadBods YouTube channel. So till next time, we'll see you later.